Hi guys, I hope you're well and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, you have joined me at the most perfect video ever because chances are you might recognise me from the back of my head on TikTok. And as much as that's a really weird introduction, I feel like it makes sense.
If you know, you know.
However, if you haven't seen the back of my head, then this is kind of awkward. Nonetheless, welcome to today's video, which is essentially my Rapunzel hair routine on how I got my hair from a snapped off long bleach blonde bob to literally way down past my waist in literally the space of 2 years. Yes, it is possible. However, the things which I do, I say every single person needs to do if they want to be like fast track path to Rapunzel, okay? If you want to see some changes quickly. If you are returning and if you are subscribed, I literally love you guys millions and appreciate you more than you know. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Today, what's inspired me to make this video is essentially what I wish existed a few years ago, where I could literally sit down with a cup of tea, hot chocolate, matcha, you name it, glass of vino for all I care. And I could have just sit and watch this video and then I would have known, okay? And I wouldn't have had to go through the struggles over the past few years of trying to find hair care and hair care products and routines which work for me. So hopefully you're going to take a lot away from this. I'm just going to address the elephant in the room. I accidentally pulled half of my eyelashes out the other day with an eyelash curler. And yeah, it's not the vibe. It's really, really not the vibe. But it is what it is. I've got a lash serum and hopefully it will grow back very, very soon. I'm going to list all the things in this video which I think are absolutely essential if you want to grow your hair quickly, okay? That is the main key word. However, I'm also going to tell you guys about the things that I would steer clear from if you can. Before we get into that, I just want to really quickly tell you how I got to a snapped off long bleach blonde bob, okay?
Tongue twister, say that after a few tequilas.
Because it wasn't actually ever intentional. Let's rewind. I used to have beautiful long brunette hair and this is all my own natural colour now, okay? And it was down to around here. I'd say my hair is probably a little bit longer now than it ever was before. And I got inspired to have a balayage. Do you remember this year that Lucinda went on Love Island? I think that was the year I got a balayage. Just had a bit of fluff on my face that had been there for around 5 minutes. So yeah, he's gone now. Because basically I thought her hair was stunning. She inspired me and I just thought, yeah, do you know what? I really want that. The problem was I then got
addicted to the balayage.
I'm not even lying. And I kept getting more balayages and more balayages and more balayages until I literally was a bleach blonde Barbie babe, yeah, from the root, okay? Root to tip, bleach blonde. To the point it was borderline green, okay? And at least we can be open and honest. And this is a safe space because I can admit that I low-key kind of knew it was going green. Because my hair was just so bleached, I was straightening it every day to try and help reduce the frazzledness, in the words of the GC, and unfortunately that obviously was making it worse and worse and worse. And then it all just came down in a cycle to the point that I'd run my fingers through my hair was literally falling out in clumps. I'd wash my hair, more hair would be in the bath than was on my scalp, and unfortunately a lot of this was self-inflicted. It got so bad to the point my hair was so brittle that you'd hold it from like this point here and hold it up and it would just be straight out like that. It was really bad. It's giving broomstick and nobody could even light a match around me because it was so dry. It was probably a hazard. Okay, so now we've got the jokes out the way. Let me tell you a sad story. So I also have
Endometriosis. I feel like I'm really stuck up.
So I've got endometriosis, adenomyosis, a chronic illness, and arguably a few other things wrong with me. But that also means that it did affect my hair and it kind of affected the hair that was then growing, the new hairs. So not only were they quite weak anyway, because I was really poorly at the time, but then also I was slapping bleach on, getting straighteners on them every day. So literally my hair did not stand a chance until one point, it was literally about this long. It was a long bob, a snapped off long bleach blonde bob because it was never intentional. And I was like, right, I need to make a change. I can't keep wearing my Lulabells clip-ins every single day. My hair was just dreadful, okay? And I was panicking so much I would just chuck it in a top knot before work. It looked awful. So then I was like, right, it's time to make a change. And
The words of MJ.
And then I started my hair care journey. And then over the last few years, I found routines which work for me, products which work for me, products equally which don't work for me. And here I am. And I now feel like a sensei because I know exactly how to grow your hair in 2 years from said bob to luscious Rapunzel locks. So without further ado, let's start the list and let's get into the video. First thing I'm going to talk about is something I refer to a lot on TikTok, and that is hair oiling. Consider myself the OG of the Fleurs Rapunzel routine. Yeah, period. And to be honest, that is what I would say has done the most for my hair and hair care journey, which is why I'm including it at number 1, even though I talk about it a lot on other platforms. I'm going to talk about this now, but if you want a far more in-depth detail and if you actually want to see another tutorial, I would love to be able to make that for you guys. So please let me know in the comment section and also leave your questions below, because if you guys have got any questions on hair oiling, I can answer them at the same time. We can do 2 birds with 1 stone. Okay, so hair oiling is a thing which other cultures have done for centuries and generations. Therefore, it must be good, right? I was late to the party in the sense I only kind of discovered it around 2 years ago. I saw a lot of people using like a viral rosemary oil on TikTok, and I actually saw that back in lockdown, but I was just like,
that's not going to work for me.
and I was kind of a little bit ignorant and naive. And I also chose to kind of think that it wouldn't work. It was then about 2 years ago that I was like, right, I'm going to start hair oiling. Found the brand Nature Spell, saw that their products were like vegan and cruelty free, and they were like the OGs of the time of the Rapunzel oil. I bought some, okay? £10 it cost me, £8 even, for a glass bottle which looked like so. And I started hair oiling, and I was doing this intermittently, once a week, once a month. I was a bit sporadic with it. I wasn't too consistent, but it was making a difference. And I was like, oh my God, I'm literally doing this, admittedly not very well, and it was making a difference. It was then around 8 months later that I decided to start experimenting and mixing oils. Anybody else loved to make potions and that in the bath when they were kids?
I'd still love to do that now. My hair saying I'm 24.
That was kind of the vibe we were going for. So I just started mixing oils, and I was mixing rosemary and oil. I think that's how you say it. I don't feel like anybody in the world knows how you say that word. And then I mixed rosemary and botana oil. And as soon as I mixed those two oils together, I was like, what concoction have I created? The way that it made my hair feel, look, was to touch, smell, you name it. I was just bamboozled. Literally never said that word before in my life. And then ever since then, I've been a consistent queen, and I've hair oiled at least once a week, once or twice a week. Now I do it twice. At the start, admittedly, I did it once a week. So how it works is hair oiling is a pre-wash treatment. So on dry hair, so for example, it is actually hair wash day for me tomorrow. So on dry hair, I would essentially mix two oils together in an applicator, which come in a bundle. Like I say, I can do a full in-depth tutorial of this if you guys want this, and if not, I do have loads already on my TikTok, so you can go and check that out. But I mix two oils together in the applicator, give them a swirl. This particular brand's oils are already pre-diluted, so you don't need to add anything to them. They literally do the hard work for you. And then I apply this all across my scalp, going from one side to the other. I then flip my head and do the underside, and then with whatever residue I have left of the oil, pop that through the mids and ends of my hair. I then give myself a scalp massage, because this is really good for like stimulating the follicles, so that's super important. And then I'll leave the oils in my head for a couple of hours, whether that's via a slick back, whether I'm at home doing tasks and I just kind of put it up in a bun loosely, it doesn't matter. Now, the benefits of these oils are rosemary oil is known as being the Rapunzel oil. So if you want to see hair growth, you're going to be wanting to use rosemary oil. But the botana oil, I feel like, was what really changed the game for me. So botana oil is super rich in antioxidants and fatty acids. So if your hair is super dry or super brittle, literally everything, which mine was when it was at its most damaged point, and if it just wasn't getting past a certain point because essentially it was snapping and breaking off, the botana oil is going to give you that intense hydration, which is why the rosemary and botana work so well together, because it's growth and condition kind of put into one. And then I just literally leave that on for a few hours, go about my day, and then wash it out a couple of hours later. And I still do this routine now. If anything, I'm more consistent with it. I will literally not wash my hair unless I've gone to like a salon or something, without hair oiling prior, because for me it is paramount, and it is why my hair is now literally down to my bum. In terms of oil amounts, I use half an ounce of each oil. The little applicator which I use has got like little indentations and marks down the side, so I'm not just like a wizard and I know what half an ounce is.
Or something maybe illegal. I digress.
My point is, if you guys want a full tutorial, as I say, let me know, we'll go into it. But yeah, I do that twice a week, and that is number one if you want Rapunzel locks, just hair oil. And it's suitable for literally curly hair, if you suffer with like dandruff or flaky scalp, dry hair, oily hair, greasy scalp, damaged hair, bleached hair, dyed hair. No matter who you are, it's good for you, which I love. I love a one-size-fits-all situation, do you know what I mean?
Makes it so much easier.
Next thing I'm going to talk about is shampoos and conditioners. And I may be really naive in saying this, but I just used to buy like the matching shampoo and conditioner set from like the supermarket, for example. You can actually mix and match. You don't need to use the same set. You can always get a shampoo that's targeted to like reduce dandruff, and then a conditioner that's super hydrating. You don't need to use the same matching brand, or at least matching benefits. Does that make sense? If you already knew that, then maybe it's just a me problem, but I never used to know this. And I feel like it's important to be told, because I feel like we're so conditioned. Did you see what I did there? Into buying a matching set. That was a proper dad joke, wasn't it? Shampoos and conditioners, which I absolutely love and recommend. None of this is an ad, by the way. None of this is paid for, sponsored, anything like that. These are all my own natural opinions. But I love to use either Nature Spell products or Redken products. I feel like they're kind of my go-to at the minute. In terms of products from Nature Spell, I love to use the Bond Repair or the Growth Complex range. If you are a curly head babe, they also have a curl enhancing range, which I've got curly head friends. They absolutely rave about it, but obviously I've not tried it as a straight head girl. The Bond Repair is definitely my favourite of the two at the moment. I find it to be more hydrating than the Growth Complex range. which sounds ironic, but it really, really is. And I absolutely love those products. Those are vegan, cruelty-free, colours and SLS-free, salt-free, sulfate-free and paraben-free. It just means that the products don't contain ingredients that are made to essentially make your hair feel good for a short time, but over time can cause a build-up and cause problems. So, for example, it being salt-free, that's a really positive thing because salt can be super drying to your hair. So if, like me, you already suffer with quite dry or brittle hair, using that for a period of time can actually have a more drying converse effect than what it's essentially aimed for.
Does that make sense?
Going back to Redken, I love the All Soft range and I also love the Extreme range, but I might use the All Soft shampoo and then the Extreme conditioner, for example. And with Nature Spell, I'll use the Bond Repair shampoo or conditioner, and I might intertwine the Growth Complex shampoo or conditioner. So yeah, you can mix and match. And also, just because a product is expensive doesn't make it any better. Like, I've used products that are a couple of pound, which are so much better than like £30 shampoos, £40 shampoos, for example. It's just what works for your hair, and I feel like it's quite a personal thing. Yeah, if you're hair oiling, I'd obviously recommend to use the Bond Repair range because I feel like they coincide super nicely, but yeah, it's preference. Sticking on the whole washing theme, again, I think it's super important to use a hair mask. It doesn't even necessarily need to be a bond building product, just a hydrating hair mask. Chucking one of those in once a week, once every 2 weeks is just super important, because if you do want your hair to grow, you need to keep it hydrated to stop any split ends, stop it feeling brittle and stop it drying off. So yeah, a good hydrating hair mask is super key. Next thing we're going to talk about is actually after hair care products, things to do and things to avoid. So after you've got out the shower and you have washed your hair, basically, your hair is going to be wet, it's going to be feeling fragile. For me personally, I love to use a serum which helps with frizz and conditioning, and I also love to use a heat defense products. If you are not using heat defense in 2025, please put it on your Christmas wish list, because it is so essential, especially if you are using heat on your hair, or even if you're just like going out in the sun and stuff. All these things can have an impact on the quality and condition of your gorgeous locks. So yeah, a heat defense spray is super important. A few I love the Tresemme heat defense. It's an OG. My mum's used it on me since I was literally a toddler, so I've never switched it out. And in terms of serum, I love the John Frieda Frizzies. Again, it's a classic. It just works for my hair. Another thing which I do, which I actually really recommend doing, is letting your hair air dry for the majority of... How am I going to word that? When you are drying your hair, to let it air dry majority of the way before then finishing up with a hairdryer. So if my hair is soaking wet, I won't start with a hairdryer. Firstly, I'll be there for about 45 minutes. And secondly, heat on really wet hair, ooh, it's giving recipe for disaster, okay? Gordon would not like it. What I like to do is I like to let my hair air dry till it's about 70-80% there, and then I will go ahead and use a hairdryer. It just means I'm using heat for a less prolonged period of time. And yeah, I just feel like overall, that's what works for me. Now, a lot of people think that heat is such a taboo subject and you have to cut it out completely. I kind of don't agree with that. I know guys, don't shoot me. I still will use a hairdryer, and on the very rare occasion, I might go ahead and use some heat if I have maybe like a bouncy blow dry style that I want to recreate and I'm not happy with doing heatless curls. I want something a little bit more voluminous. But I'm absolutely not straightening my hair or curling my hair every week. It's just not a thing, and it's not sustainable, and especially if your hair is already fragile.
We should know from the story I told at the start
That heat and bleach, they are not friends. They are arch enemies we need to avoid. Hairdryer, absolutely fine if you do that on wash days and you need to use it, but just let your hair air dry for a little bit more than you normally would before you then go ahead and use your hairdryer. Another thing which I think is super important actually, and again it kind of sits within the hair tools realm, is the type of hairbrush you have. Now I have this with me because, to be honest, we're never far apart, okay? This is the FlexiFlow hairbrush. All of the bristles move completely independently. Do you see that? Literally means that this brush can flex and flow throughout your hair without ripping chunks out, and you can also use this on wet hair as well. So again, use a hairbrush that's going to be really gentle if you are drying your hair with a hairdryer and you're using a brush. This one's perfect, and I feel like because there's holes in the gaps as well, it just dries a little bit quicker than maybe using a flat paddle brush would be. Again, other little simple tricks, using hairbands that look a bit more like this, or using like satin scrunchies, super key. You don't want to be doing really tight hairstyles using a traditional hairband. It's just not good for the hair, okay? It's not very soft, it's not very gentle. And on the note of slick backs, if you're doing a slick back every day with gel and that, oh my gosh, do it with a leave-in conditioner, do it with a hair mask, or even do it with hair oil, okay? Just trust me on that. Last section of things I want to quickly talk about is things that you put in your body which are going to affect your hair. So hair is made up of the same stuff as our nails, which is keratin, okay? Which means that you need to be eating a balanced diet and you need to be eating enough protein. If that means that you need to therefore take supplements or maybe a multivitamin to help you achieve that, no problem at all, and I certainly do that. So I love to take gummies which contain biotin because that can be super helpful. There's a few brands which I really like. I love the ones from Freesol. They've got collagen gummies which can help like hair, skin and nails. But I also love the ones from Hairburst. Their hair gummies literally taste so good, and it can just help you ensure that your levels are sitting at about right to help you with your optimum hair growth. If you're eating like fast food every single day and you're not taking care of your diet, it can literally impact your nails, hair and skin. But like if you were to eat loads and loads of junk food and then wake up and have like a few blemishes, think of that as being a similar concept. So yeah, you need to be mindful what you put in, as well as what you then go ahead and put on your hair. I'm going to leave today's video here. I really hope it's been useful, but please do let me know if you've got any hair care questions below, or if you do want to see that in-depth oiling tutorial, and if you have questions on that, because I'd love to be able to help you guys. And I just want to say that it is possible to grow your hair quickly. Like, trust me, you can do it. If I can do it, you can absolutely do it, okay? And I really hope that my tips are useful because, like I say, I wish this video existed a few years ago when I first started. The hardest thing to do is to take the plunge initially and like get rid of extensions, for example, or decide that you are just going to stop the bleach, stop the heat. But it will literally be the best thing that you ever do. And I don't want you guys to be scared of bleach. You can bleach your hair and it still be healthy, but just take a few of the steps which I've provided with you today and do it with caution, because therefore your hair is going to be looking stunning. Thank you so much, guys. If you've made it to the end of this video, I literally love you guys so much. And I will see you in the next video, and hopefully I'll see you in the comments below. Bye, guys.